Are you hyped again for Zion Williamson? Should Josh Hart start? And Jason Tatum opens up all right now on Locked On NBA Game Night. Let's go.
When that final buzzer rings, you know it's time for Locked On NBA Game Night. All the post-game reactions to every game across the league, every single night, with insights only the hosts at Locked On can provide. It's the true NBA fans' one stop for all the action. Every game, every night. It's Locked On NBA Game Night. Tipping off now.
Welcome to another edition of Locked On NBA Game Night. Every game, every night, even in the offseason when there's no games, we've got things to talk about. And back to Wednesdays. I'm your co-host, Jake Madison, at NOLA Jake on Twitter, and the host of the Locked On Pelicans podcast.
The more things change, the more they stay the same. I'm John Karalis, host of the Locked On Celtics podcast, on Twitter at John_Karalis.
We appreciate you making a Locked On NBA Game Night your first listen today and every day. Media Day is starting, which means games are around the corner. We're going to be covering every preseason game, every NBA Cup game, regular season game, postseason game. We're going to have it all right here, so please subscribe wherever you get your podcast and join us on YouTube as well. We get actual things to talk about today, John. I am excited. Also, this worked out perfectly because we are going to talk about Zion Williamson. Are you hyped for him again? Josh Hart and the Knicks had media availability. So did the Cleveland Cavaliers. And then we'll wrap it up with Jason Tatum getting very real and honest about what he's feeling, which I love seeing from NBA players. But let's keep it here in New Orleans where I am because I was at Pelicans Media Day today. And John, did you see Zion Williamson and how good he looked?
Svelte. I like that. It's a very yes. He looks good. And this is the thing. The tantalizing. Did the message get through finally to Zion? Because when he's in shape and is available and healthy, he can be just such an impactful, dynamic superstar that changes how good you're really changes the fortunes of your team. But when he's not, and it's usually his own fault, and that you see the curves, the musculature, the traps, the delts, the definition, you're like, oh, okay, yeah, he's it's like somebody drew a superhero. When you see that, you're like, oh yes, this is exciting.
It is, right? We're going to play real or fake in every segment here, so I'm going to hit the music quickly.
Is this real or fake? Just ask John and Jake.
All right, real or fake, John? You're hyped up for Zion Williamson going into year 7.
You know what? Fake. I'm going to say fake because I'm not falling for the banana in the tailpipe. You got to show.
We've been here before. We've been here before, right?
I've seen in shape Zion, and even if he comes out and has this awesome November, I'd be like, all right, let's see what you get past Thanksgiving and just Christmas and all the food that's out there and all the mistakes that he can make again in his basketball career. Then if we can get past that and he's still in shape and he's doing all the things that he's supposed to be doing, okay, then I'll get hyped. But at this point, I'm like, Zion, he has to prove it. At this point, I'm not buying it until he get me to the All-Star break with in shape Zion.
Yeah, so I get that, right? I 100% get that, and I think that's truthfully probably the correct way to look at it. However, I am hyped, having been there in person and seeing him and talked to him a little bit here. He does this, right? He says all of the right things in the press conference. He said this is the best he's felt. This is the best his body's been since college, which college Zion was at another level from players we normally see, a very, very special player. And when you combine that with the fact that when he returned from the hamstring injury that limited him to just 30 games last season, let's keep that in mind. But when he played in the second part of the season, 24.6 points per game, 7.2 rebounds, 5.3 assists, and he did that in under 36 minutes. He did that in 28.6 minutes per game. Those are insane numbers on a minutes restriction, right? That works out to per 36 minutes of 31 points, 6.7 assists, and 9 rebounds while getting to the line 10 times per game per 36 minutes. Those are near MVP level numbers at that point in time. Yeah. And it's he's a very special player. So I've never seen him look quite like this at the start of the season. He hasn't really ever shown up in shape. He's showing up in shape. There's something to be said for that, I think.
Sure.
He competed on the defensive side of the ball last year in a way that he never had before, where he graded out as like a plus defender. I don't know. It seems like something switched, and that something might actually be a person in Joe Dumars stepping into the New Orleans Pelicans. He might get a lot of grief for that draft night trade, but if he can get through to Zion Williamson in a way that David Griffin can't or didn't, right? Like that's the game changer, I think, here. If you get Zion to buy in, who cares about Derek Queen or next year's future first-round pick, because it's going to be in the 20s at that point in time.
That's fair. That's totally fair. Like so much rests on Zion kind of like this being real. This is, and it's taken a long time for him to, this is why I don't like, I'm not hyped up. It's just, it's taken so long that I totally like you in New Orleans, you're locked on Pelicans. Like you should be excited about this because
of course
you're like, we're talking about the Pelicans again as like a lottery team. And that the reason why that trade with Atlanta is so, was so panned is because we're like, what are the Pelicans? How good do they think they're going to be?
It's exactly that, right? It's like, do you also are you actually going to rely on Zion to play 65 plus games when he's barely ever done that in his career, right? He's only done that once. Like it's not particularly the track record there. Means you probably shouldn't buy in truthfully. One of the things that Zion said, and Joe Dumars has talked a lot about this, is they're going to hold him accountable. They're going to put more responsibility on him. And here's the quote from Zion about all this. Quote, Joe Dumars, is going to hold me accountable, and he holds me accountable. He's going to give me a lot of responsibility as well, which I'm excited for. I know he's going to hold me to a really high standard, and if I slip up or anything, I know he's going to be right there to make sure I get right back on the path. End quote. That sounds great, but do we really think that David Griffin in the last regime didn't give Zion responsibility or that they didn't hold him accountable? They tried. Zion just didn't want to do it. So when he says stuff like this, it's not like he never had that around him or the ability to do this before. It was a Zion thing versus like a team infrastructure thing. So is it Joe Dumars or is it going to be Zion that really makes this happen? And given that Zion has missed more games than he's played, you're not going to necessarily bet on that.
I think the reason to be positive about it is that there is a new sheriff in Joe Dumars. Mm-hmm. When the new sheriff comes to town, he has no qualms about cleaning house. And I think everybody knows.
Well, you saw that with the roster too already.
Right. So when it comes to if you need to trade Zion, Joe Dumars like, I got no problem trading Zion. Like Griffin was invested and he was doing everything possible to make it work. Now Dumars comes in and is like, buddy, if you're still going to if you're going to try to eat your way out of the league again, I will grease the skids. I will show you the door. And that is, I think, a little bit humbling to a star of Zion's level who has never realized his potential. He's 25 years old. He's starting to get, I think, into that next phase of maturity, that 25, 26, 27, when you got the new boss in town that is very willing to move you, I think, if he needs to, because what the hell? You haven't proven anything anyway. What are we holding on to? I think there actually is reason to be, I would say, cautiously optimistic. I'm going to take a few steps back from where you are and say the cautious optimism of like, show me, prove it. I'm open to Zion following through. I'm just not buying into it yet, but I'm open to it. Just show it to me. I think the age, the situation, the power dynamics in the team, it's fertile ground for a turnaround for Zion. What that means for the Pelicans and ultimately all of their moves and whether they climb the ranks and become contenders, we'll see. But having Zion bought in, and I liked when he said, he's like, it feels good to feel good.
Yeah.
If you get that and it feels good to feel good and it feels good to keep feeling good and to keep winning and to be the reason and to have everybody be like, oh, okay, here's the Duke. Here's the Duke Zion. Here we go. If that becomes the storyline, if around Christmas time you start hearing the rumblings of networks like trying to flex Pelicans games into
only 2 national media games this year for New Orleans. So it's like that people are out on this team, in a very, very big way because of Zion. It's because when they put him on national TV, he doesn't play here.
Doesn't show up.
Joe Dumars, look, we might, be questioning his decisions as an executive, but these players have tons of respect for a guy on the bad boy Pistons that they watched growing up. And if that works, it's all worth it. But I'm with you. It's still, you got to prove it. Let's see it over the first 10 games of the season. Then the hype will start to build a little bit more, I think.
Yeah. Look, I'm looking forward to it. I am looking forward to it. And I honestly, I hope for the best because
me too.
At his best, Zion, like the NBA is better with awesome Zion Williamson highlights. Like I want to watch Zion Williamson be good at basketball because when he is, it is amazing. And we need to see more of that.
All right, so Zion wasn't the only person that spoke today. We've heard from a bunch of the New York Knicks. We've heard from the Cleveland Cavaliers a little bit too. We've also heard from Jason Tatum. We're going to get into all of that in today's episode of Locked On NBA Game Night. Today's episode of Locked On NBA Game Night is brought to you by FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. The NFL season is here, and FanDuel is making sure you're ready for kickoff with a can't-miss offer. Right now, new customers can bet just $5, and if your bet wins, you're going to get $300 in bonus bets to use across the app. Locked On has been partnering with FanDuel for a long time. I don't know if I've ever seen an offer as good as $300 in bonus bets. So I love FanDuel because it fits however you like to bet. Player props, building a same-game parlay for a bigger payout, or even jumping in live as the action unfolds when you start to see trends developing in the game. So it just makes everything a little bit more exciting. So if you're ready to play, download the FanDuel app now by visiting FanDuel.com to get started. That is FanDuel.com to place your first $5 bet. And if it wins, you're going to get $300 in bonus bets over at FanDuel.com. And thank you for making Locked On NBA Game Night your first listen today and every day. We are here Monday through Sunday. It's off season. We're just getting to media day. It's going to take a second here. But make sure you're just watching. We're going to be covering every single game across the association this season. We'll have all of the media day content that you want as well, because we got people that are there. And the Cavaliers had some media day availability for Kobe Altman and Kenny Atkinson, their head coach. Danny Cunningham was there. Let's get his take from the Cavs media availability.
Danny Cunningham, Locked On Cavs. Normally I do these walking across floors, whether it's at Rocket Arena or some other arena the Cavs are playing in. Cavs didn't play today because it's September still, so I'm just walking around downtown Cleveland doing this. But Kenny Atkinson, Kobe Altman gave their preseason media availability today to kick off what is going to be the 2025-2026 NBA season for the Cavs. And I thought there were some newsy items that came out of this. Primarily, Darius Garland would not anticipate him to be available to start the regular season. They don't want to put a timeline on things, but both Kenny and Kobe made mention of, well, with Darius out. So I would read into that as such. Max Strus will miss, quote, months to start the season. So at this point, would be surprised if he's back before the calendar flips to 2026. And then internal development is another talking point yet again for the Cavs. And it is basically code for, we expect Evan Mobley to get even better than he was last year. Last year, Mobley made an all-star team for the first time, was second team All-NBA for the first time, and they're expecting him to be even better. They say he's gotten stronger, a little bit bigger, going to look a little bit different offensively. The basketball is going to be in his hands more. So a lot to look forward to from this first taste of Cavs Media Day, but certainly will be an interesting season as things start to get underway next week when training camp begins.
So I'm laughing that he just, left off winning Defensive Player of the Year for Evan Mobley. Made an all-star game. That's cool. For all that, what do you make of the injuries with the Cleveland Cavaliers and how it impacts the East?
I think they'll ultimately be fine. You obviously Donovan Mitchell is a big reason why they're going to be good. Darius Garland, obviously that one is a tough one because he had such a good year last year.
Yeah, he was awesome.
But with look, the East is not great. So I think Cleveland will be okay. Even if they drop to a second seed, I don't think they're in danger of falling far below that. Maybe the Knicks will feel some pressure. And after last season's, loss in the conference finals, they'll, with the coaching change, they'll be a little amped up and they'll want to win. And they'll be kind of like the Cavs last year, where they just go for that top seed. So the Cavs can feel that's fine. It doesn't matter if you're as good as the Cavs are going to be in May and June. It doesn't matter if game one is somewhere else. You're going to win one of those games on the road, you feel like. So I don't put too much into it. They've been together long enough where I think whenever Garland comes back, whenever Max Strus comes back, it'll be kind of seamless.
Yeah, I think they're gonna be fine. That team is still pretty loaded, and it showed you, don't blow up the roster, make the right coaching change that kind of fits the pieces all a little bit together better, and look at what they were capable of doing. They're just good, man. Like, they're good, and as you said, the East is pretty wide open right now, and just not as bad, as strong as it was a year ago. They'll be fine. I don't know. That's about it. Cavs are good.
Cavs are good. They'll be fine.
Yeah.
Now what you don't want is for these injuries to be a precursor or a, foreshadowing to, a hospital season. So you hope for the best injury wise, but they've got depth. They've got experience together. They've still, like Mobley. This is having seen like the Celtics deal with injuries here and there and guys being in and out. This really does open up opportunity for a guy like Mobley to just do a lot more. And, other guys that have taken like lesser roles, they'll just do a little bit more. You got some really good NBA players on that roster. So them taking on bigger roles will be just fine.
Yeah, I think so. Also, if Mobley keeps getting better, that is scary for the rest of the league, by the way.
Yeah.
Like terrifying for the rest of the league, I think. Let's stay in the East and move to the New York Knicks, who had their full media availability yesterday, whenever people are listening to this as well. You want to play real or fake?
No.
You want to play another real or fake?
Let's do it again.
Hit the music again.
The music.
Is this real or fake? Just ask John and Jake.
All right, the biggest story coming out of Media Day for the Knicks was that Mike Brown is not committed to a starting lineup yet. And Josh Hart said, quote, "If I don't start, I'll probably ask for a trade. I had the best year of my career last year, but that's in the past. I think I'm a starter in the league. I think I deserve to be a starter in the league. But at the end of the day, it's about what's best for the team." He said that jokingly. He's not actually going to ask for a trade. Like, let's be real clear here. But real or fake, Josh Hart should start for the New York Knicks next season.
This is such a tough one, because that Knicks lineup first played obviously under Tibbs, right? So they played like 10 times as many minutes as anybody else.
37 minutes per game for Bridges.
Yeah.
36.6 for Anunoby. 35 for Towns. Brunson played 35.4. Josh Hart led the league with 37.6 minutes per game.
Yeah. I'm going to say it's fake. I think you're going to want a center. I think now, I know Mitchell Robinson was like, the numbers, they were a little bit more limited, right? So the Josh Hart starting lineups, I think they were a +3 over the course of the season, which is like okay, but not like it's a plus. But you want your
starters to blow out opponents,
right? You want
blow them out.
If you're putting that lineup out there, you want it to be like +10, right? So, but they're not good enough defensively. Now, I saw the best of the Knicks in their semifinal series with the Celtics, and Mitchell Robinson was a real problem. That, I think, is their best starting lineup. And bringing Hart, like, you can sub Hart in for anybody at that point. So I think starting off with a defensive presence like Mitchell Robinson just sets a better tone. And then you can finish with Josh Hart. You can have like multiple finishing lineups. And depending on time, score, situation, you can go with Josh Hart at the end of a game, which is also, obviously more important. How you close a game is more important than how you start it. I like to set the tone defensively, especially with Brunson out there, especially with, Karl Anthony Towns out there. You're going to get some blow-bys. Having a defensive center like Mitchell Robinson just erases enough mistakes where they can play fast the way they want to. They can get out into transition a little bit more. They can do some of that offensive rebounding that was successful a couple of seasons ago. So I like that lineup better for the Knicks.
So looking at it, it's not as bad as I thought it was. Brunson, Hart, Bridges, Anunoby, Towns had a net rating of 4.1. So that's not the worst. Yeah, +4. But you still want that to be around like +8 in that range. Like that's kind of what you're looking for there. Like your starters are supposed to blow out the other, ideally do their work against other starters. And then you just want your bench units to try and play even at that point. And that's like a very good recipe for success. The problem is there's not enough like data when it comes to Mitchell Robinson because he just didn't play enough 17 games.
Yeah.
But if you're looking for rim protection, which is not what Karl Anthony Towns gives you in the slightest, you at least need to consider it. So I'm a big Josh Hart guy from his time in New Orleans, like very fun player, just does all of that like dirty work, glue guy, energy guy. But I think they're at least making the right choice by not committing to anything right now and at least seeing how it plays out maybe in preseason or to start the year before they kind of settle on that, I think.
Yeah. It's a good wait and see. And again, there's nothing wrong with being situational. There's nothing wrong with saying against a particular team, we need Mitchell Robinson back there. And against a different team, like we need Josh Hart on the perimeter. Like it's fine. I know guys love their roles and they want defined roles. I get that. But you can have two very distinct lineups with distinct strengths. And if you want to do what's best for the team, you got to be willing to sometimes come off the bench and sometimes I don't mind them going situational. But if they don't go situational, I want the rim protector to start the game.
No, it makes sense. We'll see what they end up doing. That's going to kind of be one of the big storylines for, a contender in the Eastern Conference on how things end up shaking out. And it could, I don't know if there'll be a massive impact on their season, but it's going to impact their season in some capacity here. So very curious to see what they do. So coming up next, Jason Tatum. He was very honest. I want to talk about this. That's coming up here next in today's episode of Locked On NBA Game Night. And thank you for making Locked On NBA Game Night your first listen today and every day. We are here 7 days a week covering everything you want to know around the association. We will soon be covering every single game, whether it is preseason or others. We're going to have it all here for your second listen. Make it Locked On Pelicans, Locked On Celtics, Locked On Cavs, Locked On Knicks as we cover all of our teams and what's being said and kind of break down the biggest stories around the association here on our local shows. John, Jason Tatum was very honest in a recent interview here. We'll get to whether he plays or not in a second this season because he's really intent on keeping that door open. What did you make of his comments, though, about when that injury happened, how he said he spent 2 hours crying after that? He was so worried that basically like everything he has worked hard for was going to evaporate for all of it.
Well, look, I was there. I was there at MSG. I was down by the Celtics locker room. I could see his mom going in and out. I didn't see him, but I could see the looks on people's faces. It was not a great scene. Obviously, he had just suffered an Achilles tear. I believe it. And this feeling of where he said he felt like he was betrayed by basketball, like the mental, I think, anguish is worse in a lot of ways than the physical, because you can stitch that together. And this surgery that he had, the speed bridge, is this technological advancement, and he got the surgery done by the best in the business, like the very next morning. All of that stuff, like physical stuff, heals. The mental stuff that he went through, that whole feeling of like, oh my God, I'm 27 years old. I've worked for all of this. And he's talking about like, am I going to be myself again? Am I going to play again? Are all of these people, like these sponsors, is everybody going to drop me? Like that's all legitimate stuff. Like this is his job. This is his work. This is his life. He's taking care of his family. He's taking care of his son, his grandsons, his great-grandsons. He's taking care of generations of Tatums through all of this. And to have it all potentially go away, that feeling, that really is like that is devastating. So I do appreciate his honesty in that moment.
Yeah, I thought that was really cool, right? Like when players open up about, I don't want to call it like insecurities because that's not really what it is in this case, but worries and things like that, and don't put on this like very tough exterior, right? Like it really resonates and it makes them feel more human, and fans and even media kind of feel able to connect with them in a way that we wouldn't be able to do before. So it's really nice to see players just be like open, honest, raw in a sense about all of that here. You seem to, switching gears from it, seem to think he's going to be playing this season.
I've been saying this since
the injury happened. Yeah, I remember immediately after. We have a locked on like NBA channel group text thread, whatever you want to call it. And everyone's like, well, so much for him next year. And John, like the day after the injury, is like, I'm not so sure. Yeah. Like, and if you've stood by that from the get-go.
I've been saying it from the beginning because I think it's very easy to say, Achilles injury is done for the next season. But it happened in May, and February All-Star break is 9 months. The speed bridge technique, this new technology that they have, it used to be in the ancient days of Achilles tears. They would just sew the thing back together, put your leg in a cast, and you would atrophy and everything would fall apart. Now they just they've created this technique and kind of like laces the thing back up. It's wild. I saw all of the video animations of how they do it. I'm like, this is incredible technology. They just basically, it's not just sewing it back together. They've laced your Achilles, everything back to you're doing weight bearing stuff like really quickly. And so all of these things are super, super important. The longer you wait for surgery, the worse it is. And he got this surgery the next morning in New York City by the best surgeon who innovated this technique right there. So at 27 years old, I knew that he has an opportunity to come back sooner than most. Now, he just said the very important thing. This is 19 weeks, and he just went through his first on-court workout. Now, that's big. In a People magazine interview, the surgeon said, I've never seen a player kind of get back to strength the way Jason Tatum has. He started doing the calf lifts like almost right away. So the surgeon said the loss of power, I don't expect him to lose power in that leg. So there's a real strong chance that he can come back and be himself. We're at 19 weeks. So what's that? Almost 5 months, 4+ months. NFL guys have come back in 6 months for using this technique. If you give like an NBA tax to that and you say 7-8 months,
a little bit different. Yeah.
Because the sport's different and the demands are different.
Yeah. The torque it puts on your body and the fast twitch movements and all of that stuff.
So you add on a couple of months. Well, that takes you into February, January, February. I think that's a great place to think of when he comes back. He said flat out, I'm not working, rehabbing 6 days a week for
that
no
was
reason.
A great quote. So
yeah.
Okay. So he feels like he can come back. He wants to come back. We're going to play another real or fake right now.
Is this real or fake? Just ask John and Jake.
I love that music.
We got it 3 times in this episode. I'm so excited about that here. So so keeping with the theme of real or fake here with all of this, right? He says he wants to come back. It looks like he can come back. Real or fake? Jason Tatum should come back.
Real. Very, very real. And here's why. I would rather Jason Tatum come back. Again, let's be clear, and he was clear in all of his interviews. I am being similarly clear. When I say back, not rushed, fully healthy, fully cleared, all of the steps, all of the experts, all of the doctors, trainers, everybody clears him. And they say, okay, it's January, February. You're 100% ready to come back. I want him to play whatever it is, 20 minutes a game, whatever. I want him to knock off the rust. I want him to get through. We just talked about the mental hurdles. He feels betrayed by the game of basketball. He needs to get back out there and trust his body, to trust basketball again. He needs to go out there and freeze in that moment when it's time to like dive for a loose ball.
Yeah.
He needs to feel that twang of like, I'm not diving because I'm afraid of my leg, and then go into the locker room and be like, and talk to a trainer, maybe talk to a sports psychiatrist and be like, this is what I felt in that moment. And I'd rather get him that experience, figure out, what do you have that burst? Is that burst coming back? What do you need to adjust in your game? What do you need to adjust mentally? All of that stuff. This, whatever 20 games or so that he has to potentially play, can just fill a notebook of, now you've got May, June, July, August, September to work on tweaking your game a little bit, to work on your mentality. I think that is critically important because this season doesn't matter for the Celtics, but next season, there's a very small window of championship contention, probably in that Celtics team somewhere. Next season, it starts again. I do not want Jason Tatum coming back next season and trying to figure all this stuff out. I'd rather have him figure it out now and then go into the summer and go like, okay, these are the things I need to work on, and then start next season with full confidence in his body, his mind, and all of that.
So I would have said fake, and you've sold me a little bit on this because of your, kind of saying like only if he's 100% cleared, and everyone says like he can go and do this, right? Like it's not 90%, it's not 95%, it's not you're close, we could do this, because then you do risk that re-injury or another injury from one part of the body compensating for another, which we have seen happen plenty of times. You know, this is how Klay Thompson basically missed like 2 seasons, right? And that's a terrible thing to have happen to a player. So I really hope it's not the case. That's what makes me concerned, right? Does he feel 100%, but maybe he actually isn't 100%? How do you kind of figure all of that out? That's the type of stuff that does make me worry a little bit. And if, it's February or late March, early March, right? Yeah, you could play 20 games here, knock off some of the rust. If the team's already out of contention, like, does it really matter in the grand scheme of things? Like maybe not. Only he's going to be able to answer that question, I think, and we'll find out this year. But it is the type of thing that like makes me worried about it, right? If he feels betrayed by basketball and all of that, does he want to rush to get back on the court to make it happen a little bit more and have him thus play without being 100%? I hope he wouldn't do that, but that's kind of what runs through my mind is a worst case scenario with it. That's kind of why I'm like, I don't know if he should actually play this year.
But 100% is 100%.
Yeah.
And that's it's always my thing when it comes to injuries. If everybody says he's 100%, sitting out an extra month doesn't make you more 100%. It doesn't do anything to add. And people say, no, you got to wait. No, if everybody clears him, if he is fully ready, not rushed at all, taking the cautious approach, and it brings you back in January or February, just because the season is still going on, you don't sit there and be like, well, we're just going to play it safe, because we just talked about Darius Garland. We talked about guys, Max Strus got hurt. Guys are getting hurt.
Well, you can get hurt whenever. Yeah.
Just tore his ACL in an off-season workout. You can get hurt whenever. If Tatum goes through all the steps, clears every step, and is fully cleared and has time to come back this season, then sitting out an extra 2 weeks doesn't make you extra healthy. At that point, you're just sitting out and it becomes worse. So I think he's in the right place. He's in the right frame of mind. He is saying the same things I just said. So, and I just happen to think that we will see him. And it's not about, the Celtics can make a late playoff run and they're going to be so dangerous. I don't care about any of that stuff. This is about getting Tatum ready for next season. I think 20 games at the end of this season would go a very long way in preparing him for the beginning of next season and giving the Celtics a chance to compete to get out of the East.
Let us know what you think, whether Tatum should or shouldn't play, in the comments down below on YouTube. And that's going to do it for this episode of Locked On NBA Game Night. Season's basically here. I'm excited. I know John's excited as well. On Wednesdays, I'm your co-host, Jake Madison, at Nola Jake on Twitter, host of Locked On Pelicans.
And I'm John Karalis, at John_Karalis on Twitter, host of Locked On Celtics.
Appreciate y'all so much for listening. This is Locked On NBA Game Night, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Be back with y'all next week.